What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 9's LD extension boards, and as well as the debut of Fujin's LD weapon, which is going to be coming out in conjunction with 9's Lost Chapters on Global Opera Omnia. But before we talk about that, if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. That way you guys are not missing out on future uploads. And if you guys enjoy what you see on this channel, be sure to hit that like button and share this video, as it does help me out. As always, don't forget to check out all of the fantastic resources out there for Dissidia Opera Omnia. Links will be down below in the video description as well as the pinned comments. And last but not least, don't forget to check out all of the rest of the fantastic content creators for this game. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about 9's LD extension boards and the debut of Fujin's LD weapon. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk about 9's LD extension boards, as well as the debut of Fujin's LD weapon, which is coming out soon to Global Opera Omnia with 9's Lost Chapters. We have 9 starting off here. Now remember, if you have his EX weapon fully realized, he will get a free skill usage of his Skill 1, Skill 2, or his C65 at the start of a turn. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to bypass the free skill usage, and we're just going to go straight into the LD extension boards. But after I use the LD, I'll talk about like how I like to set up, his rotation as far as like when to go into his free, which free skill to go into, and all that good stuff. And you guys can also let me know that play JP how you like to set up 9's free skill usage, and then afterwards going to either his skill 1 or LD and all that good stuff, and you'll see why. So his LD extension boards, when he's using his LD skill White Knight, it's now going to have a 120% recovered Brave Overflow. His White Knight framed buff is now granted at 10 turns. It used to be, I believe it was at 6. It also now grants 5 stacks of his framed buff Wild Roar for 10 turns. Now originally he would get that Wild Roar buff when he uses his skill 1, but now with the LD extension boards, he's also getting it now from using his LD, and it also recovers 1 skill usage of his skill 1 Primal Roar. So this is the reason why I was talking about the skill rotation, because generally what I like to do when I set this up is maybe I'll go into his C65 first, and then go into skill 1, and then afterwards go into LD, because I'm going to be recovering a skill usage of his skill 1 anyway. So that's just my rotation, but if you guys have any other rotations, those of you that play JP, let me know in the comment section below. But anyways, on top of that, with the LD extension boards, Wild Roar is also going to be getting some new effects as far as that stacking buff. So it's now going to have a 40% reduced brave damage taken to the party. So your party is taking 40% less brave damage from the enemy. It's also going to have a 30% increased brave damage dealt for 9, so 9 is going to be dealing more brave damage. And then at 5 stacks, it's going to have a 30% attack increase and 20% stolen brave overflow increase to the party, and a 50% critical brave damage increase for 9. Now the White Knight buff also gets some new effects with the LD extension boards. It's going to add a 20% increase max brave, and then when it transforms into Rebellious Fangs, that also has some new effects, which is a 40% increase max brave, 30% increased brave damage dealt, and 100% critical rate up. So it gets a lot of really nice percentage effects that really beef up your party, not only from the offensive side but from the defensive side. So let's just go ahead and take a look at it here. You guys might have seen this before, but let's just go ahead and use it right here. So remember, it doesn't do any damage or anything like that, but what it does is it provides you the White Knight buff, which prevents HP damage once, and then changes into Rebellious Fangs after a party member takes HP damage, and then it also, batteries the party, and then afterwards, like we said, it also now recovers a skill usage of his Skill 1 Primal Roar. Now, as far as his calls go, his base call is going to allow him to use a Skill 1 Primal Roar, which grants Wild Guard to the party for 2 turns, his shield, and then afterwards his LD call allows him to use his LD skill White Knight, which is going to be granting the White Knight frame buff to the party for 3 turns, and then after taking HP damage, it changes into Rebellious Fangs for 2 turns. Recommended arts for 9 is pretty simple across the board: attack plus 108 times 3, and Reckless Lancer up 2-star, boost 2-star times 3. And then his HG armor is going to have the brave damage dealt by the party can exceed the limit of 9,999 by 5% up to 10,498. So with LD extension boards, what are my personal takes on 9? He already had a great kit, you know, to begin with, being able to deal good damage all while healing and protecting your party with his shields and his LD buff. Now, you may have not seen him run nearly as often because we know that Warrior of Light at that time too got his LD and his burst, but 9 was pretty good. He was actually, I think he was kind of underrated, but he's actually good. And now with these upgrades, he provides himself and your party even better auras from both an offensive and defensive state. So in particular, the reduced brave damage that the party is going to be taking from Wild Roar with a Wild Roar 5 stacks is going to make the shields that he gives to your party a lot harder for enemies to shave down. And then afterwards, the new effects from the Rebellious Fangs now allow your DPS units to hit even harder with that brave damage up and also that 100% critical rate up. So very, very good overall. So all in all, I feel these upgrades make 9 a fantastic party member, fulfilling several roles for your party. If you guys have the resources to do so, I think he's a fantastic pickup. I already have him myself, so I don't need to pull on this banner, to be honest. But if you don't have 9's LD and you're still missing that and you're interested in trying him out, he's pretty good. I actually think he's very, very good. He gives you shields, he deals good damage, he heals you, and he also prevents you from taking HP damage, and he also allows your party members to hit harder. So very, very strong character overall. So we're going to go ahead and just use Primal Roar here, and then we're going to go on to FUJIN'S LD. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and talk about Fujin's LD. This is assuming that you're going to max limit break this weapon and also unlock the LD extension board. So it's going to grant her access to her LD skill called Hayate with 3 total uses. This is going to permanently increase her own max brave by 30% and attack by 60%, and allows her to deliver a 6-hit wind AoE range brave attack plus AoE HP attack twice. It has 60% increased brave damage on a single target, 150% stolen brave overflow, dealing split HP damage, inflicting Wind and Peril on all enemies for 4 turns after the first HP attack, and it grants Fujin a new framed buff called Gust of Wind for 12 turns. Now, it also grants her access to her Brave Attack Plus, which is going to be healing the party's Brave by 70% of own attack, and then delivering a 2-hit AoE ranged, wind range Brave Attack. And then that Gust of Wind buff, what it does is it allows Fujin to heal her allies' Brave by 30% of max Brave when she's hitting an enemy's weakness, and it also increases the party's attack by 20% and increases the party's stolen and gained Brave overflow by 20%. So let's go ahead and take a look at that here. So you can see she has 2 HP dumps, and she deals AoE wind damage, and then you get 12 turns right here of that buff, which is Gust of Wind. Now her calls are skill 1 is going to be her base call, which is Mets. It grants the party a 40% attack increase, 40% brave regen based on initial brave, and a wind enchant for 3 turns. And then if you use her LD call, it's going to allow her to use her LD skill Hayate, which grants the party a 20% increase stolen and gain brave overflow, 20% attack increase, and wind enchant for 6 turns, also inflicting wind imperil on all enemies for 4 turns. Recommended arts for this character is going to be, again, pretty simple. Attack plus 108 times 3, and Sturm and Drang boost 2-star times 3, and then her high guard armor is actually the exact same as 9's. It's going to give you the brave damage dealt by the party can exceed the limit of 9,999 by 5%, up to 10,498. So what is my personal take on Fujin after getting her LD? So unfortunately, I find Fujin's LD a bit lacking compared to a majority of LDs we have seen prior. The auras it provides with the minor attack increase and the overflow increases is honestly very subpar in the current state of the game. If you look at other characters that are quote-unquote aura bots, look at Sarah, look at Balthier, Paladin Cecil. They also provide really strong auras, either like with an effect or like a buff, and they give you much more than what Fujin does. Now, granted, if you have this LD on Fujin. Obviously, it's going to improve her as a character because it gives her access to a new skill with the 2 HP dumps, which is nice, and another way for her to inflict that wind imperil. However, with the current content in the game, this could have used a little bit more in my personal opinion. So for me personally, I'm going to be skipping her. I did not use her very much outside of when 9's Lost Chapters came out. You can actually take her to the 9 Lost Chapter Lufenia without even needing the LD because, you know, she already gives you Wind Enchant and also will be inflicting Wind Imperil anyway, so you don't necessarily need the LD if you want to take her to the Chaos Challenge and also to the Lufenia for this particular fight. Like I said, I felt like they could have done a little bit more with that LD, especially we've already seen some really good ones come out and even an improved one with Sarah's LD, which is going through the roof right now on Global Opera Omnia. So yeah, Fujin, unfortunately, I think it's a bit subpar. However, if she's a favorite, if you still really like her and you want to put her to good use, the LD will make her a better character, you know, giving her access to another skill with 2 HP dumps and another way to inflict Wind Imperil. So if you got the resources to do so and you like Fujin, and maybe try for her gear. But to me, in this banner, it's the star is actually going to be 9, which is the refeatured character, technically, because he's the star of his Lost Chapters. So the banner, speaking of that, is going to have 9's LD, EX35, and 15. Fujin's LD, EX35, and 15. Golbez's BT, if you are still chasing that. And then it's going to feature Barrett, EX35 and 15, who Barrett at this point is a bit outdated. He does get an LD later on, so if you're looking forward to pulling for Barrett later on, maybe wait for him there. But if you are missing some of his gear, it's on this banner as well if you are going to be deciding to invest in any of these characters. Alright guys, well this is going to go ahead and conclude my video talking about 9's LD extension boards as well as the debut of Fujin's LD weapon. Thank you guys again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal everyone.